Hi, my name's Kate and I picked my NFL team out of a basket. While I might have taken a small break, the NFL does not stop. And now that playoffs are set, let's take a look at who's in and how some people needed more than just their own games to clinch a spot. Let's start with the AFC. In seed order, we have the AFC West Broncos, who clinched the division and the bye week, followed by the East Patriots, South Jaguars, and North Steelers. And the wildcard teams are the Texans, Bills, and Chargers. The AFC South and North winners came down to games last weekend. The AFC South was a race between the Jaguars and the Texans, who had both clinched a playoff spot. The Jags were ahead of the Texans by one game. To stay on top, they needed a win over the Titans, and the result of the Texans-Colts game wouldn't matter. The other scenario to keep the Jags on top would be a Jags and Texans loss. Of course, though, my Jaguars demolished the Titans 41-7. The Texans also beat the Colts 38-30, but who cares? The AFC North came down to the top two teams in the division in one final matchup, the Steelers versus Ravens. The Steelers were ahead by one game, so a Ravens win would tie the record. In a tie, the win goes to the team who has the better win-tie-loss record in games between the two teams. In this final game, it was truly a winner-takes-all, and the Steelers managed to win 26-24. So here's the AFC playoff bracket. The only game I really care about this week is the Jaguars-Bills game on Sunday at 1 p.m. I may be a fan of Josh Allen, but I, of course, am rooting for my Jaguars. Let's move to the NFC, where things got a little more confusing. In seed order, we have the NFC West Seahawks, who clinched the division in the bye week, followed by the North Bears, East Eagles, and South Panthers. The wildcard teams are the Rams, 49ers, and Packers. The NFC West and South winners came down to a few games last weekend. We'll start with the easier of the two divisions, the West. The Seahawks and the 49ers had both clinched playoff spots, but with the Seahawks up by one game, it really came down to a winner-take-all matchup. The Seahawks came out on top 13-3 over the 49ers. Now the NFC South gets a little messy. In this household, we thought the South would be determined by the Buccaneers-Panthers game, which we were partially right. The Panthers were ahead by one game, so if the Bucs won, it would tie the record, and the tiebreaker would go to the Bucs. So we were excited when the Bucs won 16-14. But then all eyes turned to the Falcons-Saints game. What we failed to realize with the Bucs win is that the Bucs and the Panthers were now one game ahead of the Falcons. So if the Falcons beat the Saints, it would be a three-way tie for first. And in true confusion fashion, the Falcons did beat the Saints 19-17. The three-way tiebreaker worked exactly the same as a two-way tiebreaker. Unfortunately, that meant the Panthers would end up on top, clinching the division. So here's a complete look at the NFC bracket. I'm not really rooting for anyone on this side, so I just hope there's some really good games. And a quick and final fantasy update. Hot Jag Summer, in their first year in the ladies only league, managed to get third place with a 7-6 record. My team really pulled through in the last playoff game. I'm not mad at third for my first year, but just know that if I do fantasy football again, I am definitely going for first place. That is all for my update. Stick around to see if I survive playoffs with the Jags. Bye.